Now entering Nerdist.com.
Jackie Cation, Laurie Kilmartin. Jackie Cation, Laurie Kilmartin. It's the Jackie and Laurie Show. The Jackie and Laurie Show. It's the Jackie and Laurie Show. The Jackie and Laurie Show.
Welcome to the Jackie and Laurie Show.
Hello, Laurie Kilmartin.
Hi, Jackie Cation.
Yes, here we are.
This is like a part two-ish for us, even though this is being released
week to week
later.
Yeah, because we're just because I'm going on the road. I forgot to mention last time that I was in Toronto.
What's that like? I've worked there a long time ago. I did a show called She's So Funny, a Canadian TV show for women.
Oh, right. I've done Toronto one time. I did a live Dork Forest, and then I did the Comedy Bar. But it's been a couple of years, and so I'm back. And then I'm also doing Montreal.
The festival?
This week. No, just
okay.
The Comedy Nest. And that's this week. But the thing is, there's 4 dark days in the middle. And I thought about flying home and flying back, and I was like, it would cost me $500.
Why did you go to New York?
Well, I thought about going to New York, but I was like, and God knows I still could.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know what, I was like, well, maybe I'll go look at Niagara Falls from the Canadian side. Maybe I'll take
By
a
yourself?
train. Right, very romantic.
Maybe a feature could go with you.
Well, I think Ian Atlas would probably drive me. It's only an hour 15. But then I could take, he's been working on trying to find me one-nighters.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
It is
love when
really.
people step up like that. That's fucking
Yeah, it was.
awesome.
There was a one-nighter, a possibility for a one-nighter.
If there's one place you want to do a one-nighter, it's Canada.
It's
I've heard
Canada.
they're much tougher
He
than they
got
are
me
here.
a Canadian one-nighter the last time I did it.
Yeah.
And it was a classic. And he has since, we laugh now.
But there was a time you cried.
There was a time when there was some sharp words were exchanged because he told me it was a classic one-nighter kind of thing where he said, it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours, all of us in the car. And then we're almost to the town that we're going to, 3 hours away. And he's like, okay, so we're staying at the MC's house.
No! Oh my God.
That is the correct response.
You can't get out of the car at that point.
Right, because it was also February. So I said, wait, we don't have a hotel? And he's like, we could get a hotel, but he said it's a guest house. It's a whole separate thing. And I said, we should just get a hotel. And he's like, well, let's go to the house and we'll see it. And he says it's a standalone. I slept on there on a very nice family's.
A nice man. That was a nice man.
It was a futon in the basement. I got my own room. Ian and the 2 comics shared another room that were all just bunk beds.
Wow.
And
why did he, was he deliberately or did he not think?
He didn't know. He didn't know and he didn't think and he knows better now, and it was an early time and the kids were playing piano upstairs and running back and forth while I was trying to lie down.
There is a time in comedy where you're like, yeah, it's the shittier the better, man.
Right. You think it's hilarious.
It's like camp. Yeah. So you can't imagine somebody wouldn't want to share a room with you.
And I was getting text messages from the other 2 comics going, she's making lasagna. The wife was making lasagna.
Yeah.
And then the kids.
MC's wife?
Yeah.
Oh man,
And the kids
That's
were
not
running,
a phrase that should be ever said. Is the MC's wife?
And
you should
running,
be single if you're making $100 a week.
The kids are running back and forth, and then the piano starts, and I'm in my pajamas, and I run upstairs, and the 2 other comics burst out laughing, and Ian has this just look on his face. He's like, "Oh shit, I'm so sorry." And so we go separately. I was like, he goes, before I say anything, he says, we can leave now. I can get you a hotel. And I said, oh no, because when I was up there, the wife was telling me that she had made this beautiful chocolate cake and invited the neighbors over. And I said, no, now we're in a social situation. And I'll be having lasagna and what looks to be an amazing chocolate cake. And but I just want to tell you that in 3 weeks when Jen Kirkman comes, please don't do this to her. And he goes, I won't. And then we left it at that. And I said, here's the, and I did.
How much do you want to see Jen Kirkman tweet that? Come on, Jackie, you ruined the best night of Twitter.
Well, and I could have heard. Well, what I did say to him though, and I said, here's the good news: in an hour and a half, I'm going to be doing the thing that I love more than anything in the world, which is stand-up comedy, and I'm going to forget that I'm going to come back and sleep on this man's futon, and I'm not going to. It's not even going to be an issue because I'm going to do stand-up in an hour and a half, and it won't matter.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. It is okay. And I said, it's fine. We will mock this forever, but it is fine. And
Okay.
it was fine. And he's such a hard-working guy, this Ian Atlas guy out of Toronto. So I'm doing
You're
Toronto.
frantically trying to make up for the shitty things you just said about him.
Did I say? I told him I would
I
mock
see
him.
you scrambling. Oh, he's the hardest working guy. All right, Jackie, I get it.
You see
I
the
get
fear in the back of my eyes. He'll
Yeah.
never book me again. He'll never book me again. That's fine. There's plenty of work, but he will book me again because he's a good egg, and
Oh,
he knew that. It
Jesus,
was,
I get it. Okay.
okay, so maybe I'll go down to New York. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you
In
should.
between, I should. Can I stay in your apartment? Have you already rented
You
it? I can't.
could, but it's a sticky
It'd be
situation.
weird. It'd be weird.
If I was there, I could do.
I could just act like. Could I act like your aunt? I don't know. Could I act like we're related?
If I didn't feel it would put
I don't
me in
want.
jeopardy.
It should never.
New
New York
and-
real estate jeopardization.
Yeah.
I got no
Yes.
need. I would,
But
if I
listen,
went,
Felicia got a really great deal at the Ace Motel or the Ace Hotel. I don't know.
whatever.
Talk to
Felicia
her.
Michaels, talk to
Yes.
Felicia. And here's the other thing: is if I went to New York, I would be tempted to spend like $500 to go see Hamilton.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it would be and Andy
Oh, that's
would
right.
be sad.
That's right. For
You
some
forget
reason, I
about me.
forgot who I was talking to.
Right. It's last episode it was Deadpool. This episode clearly I brought up Hamilton.
Yeah.
So we can keep moving. We can keep moving. What about the comedy Grammy picks? Did you know who was assigned? I was told to mock.
I didn't really pay attention.
I didn't know that there were, but I did. I looked into it because you were like, who votes for comedy Grammy picks?
Yeah, clearly
musicians.
comedians don't vote. Yeah.
Right,
I mean,
it's
they don't
musicians.
vote on the nominations either.
Right.
I don't think any of us were asked who should be nominated.
No, so it's all just musicians voting for the most famous comedians they know, and
Yeah.
then the most famous of the famous people that have been nominated. And here's the list of nominees, and I'll let you guess who won. Wyatt Cenac.
I know who won.
Oh, do you
Yeah.
know who won?
Yeah.
Okay, Wyatt Cenac, who's he feels like he's the big road guy out of this list.
Wyatt?
But
Yeah. Really?
But he's
Isn't he a
only
correspondent on the Daily Show? Or
not anymore.
was,
He
not
quit.
anymore.
He quit like 5 years ago.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot that. All right. Yeah.
Yes, finally, I knew something in show business that Laurie Kilmartin didn't know. Yes.
I forgot it temporarily. I knew it, Jackie. Okay. I listened to
So Wyatt
WTF.
Cenac's album Brooklyn, Louis C.K. live at Madison Square Garden, just a little gig that he did
Sure.
one time. Anyway, Craig Ferguson, Just Being Honest,
Mm-hmm.
Lisa Lampanelli, Back to the Drawing Board. She's road, but she does theaters.
Is that a one woman show?
I'm uncertain.
Okay.
And Jay Moore, Happy and a Lot, which
The
he
comics
didn't write.
comic, Jay Moore.
Right, well, which he didn't write. His wife wrote it, and he credits her.
That's cool.
And
Good for him.
so clearly, you don't have to write your stand-up to
Right.
get nominated for it.
Well, she would have got the
She would have got the Grammy.
Grammy too, right?
Well, I guess they
Wouldn't
both
she
would have got the Grammy.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either, but he didn't win.
Yeah.
So he wasn't famous enough.
Right.
The famous cool comic won.
Louis.
Louis C.K.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Have you heard any of these albums?
You know how much I hate stand-up comedy. Why would I listen to it?
I don't want to. And the thing is all of these people are perfectly nice to me, except for Craig Ferguson, who I've never met.
I worked for Craig Ferguson.
Did you?
Yeah, I wrote on his show.
Oh, did you? And perfectly nice man.
Yeah.
There you go. We can leave it at that. You said you had nice stories about Lisa Lampanelli.
I do.
I'd love to hear a nice story about Lisa Lampanelli.
Have you not had a good encounter with her?
Lisa Lampanelli has never been anything but distantly polite to me, which is quite honestly
You know
all I've
what?
ever expected
Some
from
people
anyone.
are that way.
And I don't.
She's that way.
That's if I'm distantly polite to you, you should thank your lucky stars. Clearly, because I say jackassery. So, but
there's some. I don't know. Just some female comics are that way, and it's weird because you think there's an automatic sisterhood, and there isn't. With like Diane Ford was like that too. Always just very real professional. But
Diane Ford was actually brutal to me. So,
Was she?
Yeah, because she asked me to. She loved my stand-up,
Yeah.
which was very sweet of her.
Yeah.
because it was 1992.
Yeah.
and she said, "Would you write for me?" And I didn't know what that meant.
oh my god,
So I showed up with a napkin with some items written on it, and she
that's how you write for
me.
Jackie, right?
That's how you write for Jackie. Yeah. And she said to me, "You're kidding me." And she eviscerated me for like a minute. And then I just looked at her and I said, "Who asked you to write for one?"
Wow.
I was like, I will give as good as I get to jackass commentary to Diane Ford, who is often not nice. So
I haven't seen her in a long time, but
Me neither.
she's just an example of somebody who, to me,
if
was
you're lucky,
like,
she's distantly polite.
she didn't ask me to write for her. You know, I would have brought my brawny towels and done as much as I could.
A green marker. That's what I recommend. She loves a green marker, you guys.
So Lisa, yeah, I think she's a little distant, you know, which, you know.
Well, she's a comic, so she's got bad social skills.
Listen,
anyway.
we're all fucking hugely flawed in
Yes.
different ways. And so, but I, you know, I think sometimes people say not nice things about her. And
people are jackasses about her, which I don't think is cool.
I remember before she became famous, and she was doing spots in New York City, and she was just starting to do. Before that, she was like a regular road comic,
Just a regular comic.
Yeah,
Just trying to get
yes,
get
men
some answers.
versus women, whatever.
Sure.
Yeah. And she kind of figured out her in, which is she's going to look like a Connecticut housewife and then say, "Where are my blacks?" Right? Okay, so
There's a niche.
What you like it or you don't like it, it doesn't matter. Like
Right.
every comic,
and it
has,
resonated.
holy shit. Here's the thing, like she would, after she got famous, then it's a different thing, but she would go up, and no one knew who she was. She's just another comic on the bill, and she would crush.
Oh, yeah.
That was the first time I saw people falling out of their chairs. Like I saw people falling on the ground. They couldn't take it.
Mm-hmm.
And she was unfollowable. And that's a crime for a female comic when there's mostly male comics in the city. And I think
you will get a lot of shit if you were unfollowable as a woman.
Yes, a lot of guys,
Because I remember when Stanhope was unfollowable.
Yeah.
And it was because his closer was so filthy and so hilarious.
Yeah.
And that's what she was doing. I mean, Lisa Lampanelli was filthy and hilarious.
She was.
That's almost unfollowable in all situations.
Right.
So that's what
And-
Doug was doing.
and-
And no one gave Doug any shit about it. They were
course,
just
yeah.
like, this guy is you
yeah,
can't
they
follow
wanted to
this
be
guy.
like him.
Yeah.
But a guy doesn't want to be like a female comic.
Right.
Guys don't idolize.
And they don't-
male
and they
comics
don't see-
idolize. Most male comics don't idolize female comics. Go, I want to be like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and
At least back then.
Back then. And they don't see the comparison. The fact that she was
yeah.
just as filthy and hilarious
Yeah.
as Stanhope was.
Yeah.
Remember that bit he used to do where he'd jerk off with a beer bottle and spray it
Yes.
all over his
Yes.
face?
Yes.
Yeah, it's hard to follow that stuff. That's a row to hoe. Plus you gotta get a
You're not
mop.
going to feature long with that one. Let me tell you. You're bumping
We're gonna
up
move
real
you
quick.
up. Move you up.
But yeah, she would, and also I think because people didn't know who she was, like she'd do her 15 minutes, and then they'd be like, "No, we got to have her back. We just want more." They were just intoxicated with her.
Okay.
And so yeah, other comics got mad. They didn't want to have to follow her. And she even asked me to switch a spot once, where, like I was going up ahead of her because she wanted to do a different time. And I'm like, no, I told her, I can't follow you. I'm sorry. There's
No one wants to
fucking
follow
way.
that.
No.
So nope.
So I think she got a lot of shit, to her face and behind her back about her act, which, and she would get it from guys.
And she's not a tiny hot chick either.
Oh yeah, that's a separate thing.
So guys got to annihilate
They'll
that.
forgive you if you have flat abs and you show your stomach when you're on
Right,
stage.
you might have a one giant boob
Yeah.
that releases beer into the
Yeah, but so I think she got a lot of shit, and I think that probably closed her off a little bit. Where if you start to, I would imagine if you feel like all these comics don't like you and they're mad at you, and when you perform they're getting angry, that's a terrible feeling to have.
right, and
think.
especially if you want to continue to do stand up comedy because it's an uphill battle every time.
Yes.
you're panting just to get on stage because you're like off stage is not supportive.
Right.
Off stage is not what it ought to be, which is comics just hanging out with comics.
Yeah. With her, it wasn't supportive, and she fucking found a way on Comedy Central as a middle-aged woman.
Mm-hmm.
She started doing she made all that happen. They were not falling over themselves to hire this woman. She forced it. And
she created.
There was will that I really, really respect.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no reason not to respect. It isn't, the stand-up is not for me just because it's not, there's a lot of stand-up.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so, I mean.
I remember her at the Cellar. She wasn't sitting at the comics table. She's sitting at another table, and she had interns. Like, I don't know, whatever her slave system was. I don't really know. It's not my business.
And were they people of color?
No.
They were all white?
I don't. The two I remember were white comics. Okay.
White comics.
So she they were filling out email lists. You know, they were like entering data.
Okay.
You know, and another person I remember doing that who would bust her ass was Etta May. Do you know Etta May?
Yeah, I know Etta May.
I haven't seen her in so long, but she would go home after the shows and she would take all the comment cards that she would, or grab all the cards that she had left out for, and she would just data entry.
Yeah.
In the hotel room. Like, that's what it's like to be a female headliner, is fucking data entry.
Right.
You know?
Right. And there are comics who a big part of their success, whether they're men or women, is the fact that they know how to work it.
Yeah.
You know, there was a guy named Brett Gilbert. Not Brett Gilbert. That's a different guy. He's an actor. Anyway, but there was Brett. What the fuck was his? It doesn't really matter. Turns out. And, but there's, there, it's a business. You know,
Yeah.
and they run
get
it.
that are smart.
The people who get that and they run it like a business. It's
Lisa got that.
Lisa
very
got
early
that.
on.
And there are some comics who treat it like a business and it's great, and they do all the data entry. They do mailings and stuff like that. Bamford used to sit at open mics in the late 90s and send out those cards to casting agents.
Really?
Yeah, and she would fill out cards, and the other comics would mock the hell out of her because they're like, "Why is she not hanging out? Why isn't she paying attention to the other open micers?" Well, she was listening.
Yeah.
But she was also doing data entry while she was doing it. And so, because there are any number of like comics who don't get the business part of it, who think a comic who does the business part of it is a bad comic.
Right.
They're
right,
like, oh, only shitty comics do that.
Yeah, you're
only
focused on-
comics who don't know how to do stand up or know how to market anything. And you're like, no, those are two different parts of your brain, weirdo.
Some people have marketing degrees. Some comics.
And some people have sales skills, and for years I denied the whole sales thing.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
You mean merch?
merch.
Okay.
Yeah, I denied it because I was raised to sell bullshit. And then
What do you mean?
I was from when I was a tiny child. The first time I'd sold Little League candy bars, my dad was like, "How do they go?" And I was like, "Did you go to the not homes? Did you write down the not homes?" I have a lot of material about sales stuff and how I could not
You were
sell
like a little
anything.
Rodney Dangerfield with your aluminum siding and
He was just like, my dad, he was like, "You didn't go to the not homes?" I mean, I was like, "No, I'm 7, Dad." And then I got in trouble I got kicked out of Brownies for marking up the
what the fuck?
the candy. Anyway.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, you should have got an extra patch for that.
You would have thought that would have been a patch. And but I mean, sales was so ingrained so that when I started, and that's how I worked my way through college, is I sold t-shirts. They were all seconds and irregulars, and they were printed by a guy, Sid Sweet, and his son in the night. And
Sid Sweet?
Yeah, Sid Sweet. He was the
what a
nicest guy in the world.
name.
But sometimes there would be like a smear on the Bucky. We sold the t-shirt said, "Fuck 'em, Bucky." Wisconsin was Bucky. Bucky Badger of the University of
Don't say
Wisconsin.
it like I know what that is.
Bucky Badger, he's the mascot.
Oh, it's a mascot.
Yeah,
Okay.
for the University of Wisconsin Badgers. Anyway, but Bucky would be like relieving himself behind a tree, and it would say Wisconsin. It was a lot
God.
of. We sold hats that had
How
a
did you
jock
leave
strap.
that industry for
How?
comedy?
How did I leave it? How? Why wouldn't I keep? And so that's why when I did start selling merch and stuff, I wanted the T-shirts to be something I would wear.
Yeah.
And I wanted. And CDs and DVDs are fine. You know,
Yeah.
in the 90s, it was like, CDs are fine. CDs and DVDs are fine.
Yeah.
And only hacks sold T-shirts.
Right.
And then in the 2000s, it was like, well, if the T-shirt's cool. Or in the case of Jake Johansson, who I have busted his balls publicly.
Yeah.
Because he used to sell a T-shirt that just said, "Touch it."
Oh my God, no.
Jake Johansson, the greatest comic in the world.
Oh my God.
One of the greatest
The
writers
greats.
in stand-up comedy, sold a T-shirt that said, and it was very classy looking, but who gives a shit?
You know what?
I was
Even artists
featuring-
have families to feed.
That's what he said to me. Because I was busting him at Acme. I was featuring for him, and I said, "The hell is this?" And he said, "Not a word. I have a mortgage." And I was like, take it all back.
I used to sell a shirt.
Did you?
I used to have this bit where
Of course you did. You need a bit.
Oh, and callbacks galore. Like, I closed on fireworks of callbacks to this thing.
Yes. Rat-a-tat-tat.
The checks go down. I do crowd work, and then I see the checks up, and I fucking load 15 callbacks in the callback gun and spray the audience.
Go
so-
see Laurie Kilmartin do stand-up comedy, people.
So I used to do this. This is when the word biatch wasn't. It was a
Back
word.
in the day, it was a word. People
Right.
said it.
So I
Even
go,
white ladies
you
said
know,
it.
bitch, and then there's the soft version, biatch. Well, there should be a soft version of the C word. And I never said the C word in my act. I would say, like, Keont. And then I did a couple jokes, and then I brought out a shirt that was a baby doll shirt that had Keont written in the Coca-Cola font. It was a white shirt
Of
with
course it did.
flew off the shelves after the shows. But then culture changed, and I'd say the C word, and people would yell, cunt!
Yep.
And then
And
you're really
then
not going to
that-
sell
that's the merch is
a
gone.
shirt that says Keont because you're too uncomfortable saying cunt when the audience is shouting cunt to you.
Yeah, exactly.
And then airlines started charging for baggage. So I'm like, I can't afford to bring these.
You know, the first
These
shirt
Keont
t-shirt.
shirts.
I used to do this joke about how somebody wanted me to sell a T-shirt. I used to talk about getting sexually assaulted by a massage therapist. Anyway, hilarious stuff, you guys. Funny stuff. But the woman was like, "You should sell a T-shirt that says that's where I keep my vagina with an arrow going down." And I was like, "Please, God, no! I never want to sell that shirt because that's you." You spend all your money in hell or whatever. I forget.
Yeah.
And then, but I would make so much money if
my
I would have
God.
sold that shirt and the brother shirt to it. That's where I keep my vagina with a big arrow going to the left, like I'm with stupid.
Oh my God.
I would have sold. And so for years,
Do
people,
you just
people
not
were
want
like,
to own things?
I didn't want to own things. I didn't want to. And then so I made a button that had both arrows on it, and I would just give it away. And my father had told me years earlier I should throw things into the audience. He actually said I should throw painters caps.
God.
Painters caps, guys.
No
That's how
wonder
long I've been doing stand-up
Gallagher
comedy.
was your first stand-up that you saw.
And but I threw buttons into the audience until one of them unpinned and poked somebody in the arm. And then I was like, oh, litigation. I'm going to stop doing that. But so there are people who are good at both, and I would put myself in this. And
Yeah.
it is embarrassing as much merch as I bring on the road. And I don't sell that much merch. I just like all the merch that I do sell.
Yeah.
So I like there to be a selection.
Sure.
Even though I don't sell any more than if I had just brought the one.
Right.
So... But I think you can be both good at merch and good at stand-up comedy.
Oh, I totally agree. So that's my positive Lisa Lampanelli story. She's
I like it.
Super, super hard worker, and
I got an email, by the way, from a listener.
Aloof isn't evil.
No, it is not evil.
know?
It just means
Sorry.
some shy or internal.
We
or
all
of it.
have boundary issues.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So I got an email from a longtime listener
Mm-hmm.
of the first 6 episodes of this program. Guy Branham. Great
I
stand-up
love
comedy.
Guy Branham.
Guy Branham's so great.
funny. So funny.
on
He
one-
just had to release the CD, right?
Yeah, he has a new CD. You
He
should,
does.
everybody.
Guy
it's a-
Branham.
Guy Branham. Find
G-U-I,
that.
like
G-U-I.
Guy, B-R-A-N-U-M, like Branham.
Yeah, go see. Genuinely, oftentimes the
Yes.
smartest guy in the room.
Yeah.
And he was on the Dork Forest talking about the history of Canadian politics. Hilarious. Oh my God, it went on forever. It was so great. Such a great episode.
Wow.
Okay, so
Is
but
he
Guy
in love
Bra-
with Justin Trudeau?
I don't know.
That guy's
Guy,
fine.
please email me. So on one of the last episodes, there was a question because Hillary was getting shit for going to a women's college instead of going to a co-ed college, and so Guy
Wellesley,
Branham.
right?
Yeah, there was some or Brown or whatever it was. So Guy Branham emails me, says, colleges that went co-ed. Harvard went co-ed in 1977.
Whoa.
And Yale went co-ed in 1969.
Wow.
Hillary had to go to a women's college
my God.
or not go to college because she's 100, right?
Right.
69
Wow.
and 77.
That's shameful.
It's crazyville that Harvard went co-ed in 1977.
Right.
Yeah. Just think of all those comedy writers that could have come out of the Lampoon. Those crazy
That was a
guys.
long setup for that one. That was worth it.
I
though.
didn't even know it was coming. Look at me, writing on the fly, you guys.
Do you feel like I read this, very strong Hillary or Bernie, whatever your supporter is. So
Yeah.
I do feel like we could talk about Hillary, not necessarily betraying who we're voting for, but in terms of how people view a female, and
Mm-hmm.
it's how we all often get parsed. You know,
Like I think she's a headliner,
yes,
right? And anybody, I think I brought it up a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
Is that yeah?
Well, I mean, like that thing where she has to be a woman, and if she takes on male qualities, she's seen as it's a negative, you know.
Who doesn't want Hillary to be shrill, you guys?
Right.
Who doesn't want to call her shrill?
Yeah, like she's yelling. When she's yelling, it's because people are cheering around her, and she's trying to talk over them.
Yeah,
you know. I don't know. Maybe there's it's too big of a topic to.
It's huge. It's a big topic because I mean, I don't care if people. I mean, I'm a giant pinko commie, so I don't. Bernie Sanders isn't liberal enough for me, you guys.
Yeah.
So, but I like Bernie Sanders. I like Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, I do too.
Hillary Clinton, I think, is more conservative than Bernie Sanders, and I think she might be a great moderate choice for Republicans. Because everyone running on the Republican ticket, in my opinion, Jackie Cation Swami predicts that they're a bunch of fucking nutbags, and I hate them with the power of the sun.
Yeah.
Every single one of them just says something horrible. And you're like, I wouldn't allow my brother to say that to me out loud at Thanksgiving and unchallenged.
Yeah.
But that's something that's allowed to be said on television to voters, and then people in the Carolinas are like, no, that seems right.
Here's the thing, like, I take all
Just
these
the
criticisms of her.
Oh, do you take it to heart?
Personally?
Yeah.
You know? And I'm
because you hear the.
Well, I just know, like, this very, you know, you're walking through, it's a camel going through the eye of a needle, right? It's and as a female comic, you're always you have to navigate through narrow channels to get where you want to go, right? You have people evaluating you, you have people listening to your voice. So, you know, there's a
you have the committee meeting going on in your head that was created in your childhood.
Yes. Half of it's coming from you, and then the other half is coming from men and women in the audience, and some of whom are aware of it and can talk themselves down, and others who are just they're acting on their id. Yeah, you know, and. Nell Scoville wrote this really cool article in Cosmopolitan about how the narrative about Hillary is, well, for our daughters and stuff, and Nell was like, no, for me, right. For me, and how women, even when we want something, we have to want it for the right reasons. For our, like, I don't have a daughter, right? You know, we have to want something for the good of mankind. We can't just be ambitious and want something for ourselves. And Hillary wants to be fucking president, and I want to see an old woman being the most powerful person on earth, because I need to see that, because I'm going to be an old woman. I'm a middle-aged woman, but I'm going to be an old one, and I need a fucking role model. Right.
Somebody said to me that. It was this. One of the craziest conversations I've had about Hillary was somebody said to me, you know, I know this sounds weird, but she wants it too much. And
it does sound weird.
Because it is weird, because everyone who's running for president wants it more than I do. They certainly want it more than, I mean, that's insane. But it's exactly like show business in a way, because how many comics do you know? How many people in Los Angeles do you know who make it look like they don't want it?
Oh, right.
And then they get it. Yeah. And they get it because it looks like, oh, it doesn't matter, man. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Wes, my favorite example, the fantastic Mr. Fox with Wes Anderson, I believe. It is a stop motion
I didn't see it.
Cartoon movie, whatever, you wouldn't have. And but the thing is with George Clooney.
Excuse me. I'm about to storm out of this podcast. How dare you?
It's an outrage. I won't pay.
How dare you accurately assess me?
So it's with George Clooney and Meryl Streep, and it is it's wonderful. It's very beautiful, but it captures all of his movies. All of his movies have this kind of laid back feel to them. Yeah, that is like, no, I'm just going to put this together. If you like it, that's great. If you don't like it, that's fine. Yeah, which is the best attitude to have in Los Angeles, because all of the people who carry around their bags of money don't want to hang out with anyone who feels desperate or has that edge of, no, I really want to do this kind of thing.
But it's not either or.
It isn't. There's a
people
line,
that are
though.
Just really good and professional and want something.
But there is a line. Like,
how many? You know, there's a couple of male comics who are just like, all they talk about is drinking and banging, and they're pretty good looking, and you're just like, why are you doing like, I want to hear from the male comic who can't get laid, who has a personality disorder or some kind of.
Are you not hearing enough bits about guy comics who can't get laid?
No, but I mean, what I'm saying is, like,
sorry.
Actually, I am not. I'm seeing a lot of guys that are like
super foxy, and they're just like, I can't get laid, and you're like,
let's just say in the template of Dane Cook, where you're like, it's
You
all
have
going
regular
well,
features and you clearly do sit-ups.
And your arms look fucking awesome. And,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just going, I don't know what tangent I'm going on right now.
But you know my theory about the good-looking, it's the good-looking Ute. They were all raised on Prozac.
Yeah,
right?
but
Remember
Dan
that?
Cook's our age. He's a couple years
Right.
younger.
Yeah, or older. God knows. Who knows how
knows?
old he is?
God,
he
I
would
know.
never tell us. But but I think you're right. I mean, there is. I want to see. I do want to. There are things that I want out of stand-up comedy that I'm clearly never going to get,
Yeah.
and it's young, good-looking people not talking about how sad they are, and I know that Mark Maron does it.
Yeah.
And he has been doing it since he was a young, good-looking guy who was sad inside.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean everyone can. It's like Sarah Silverman. Sarah Silverman did that edgy racial, and Zach
Yeah.
Galifianakis, that edgy racial stuff and that edgy. So people are like, oh, that gets, and it's shock jockey, or it resonates.
It doesn't. You got to do it like Sarah.
You got to do it right.
Like
You gotta-
she has words. Like a couple words difference turns a joke into crass. That was just a few words ago.
It is
Elegant.
beautifully crafted.
Yeah.
Beautifully crafted. And it's. But I do.
But everyone copies somebody while they're learning. I
Yes.
mean, we all ape somebody.
That's why I
while
know
we're
that I'm
figuring
not
shit
going to get
out.
it. That's why I'm not going to get young, good-looking comics coming from their own place, because it takes 4 years or it takes 7 years to really feel
me
what
22.
It takes a long time to figure out what you're
And
thinking.
I had to have a baby before it actually was snapped out of me.
Let's talk about the awesome Sam B show.
Oh my God!
There's
That's
only been
a
two
show-
of them, right?
Right, that we've seen.
while we've started here.
Now I'm a cord cutter, so are you. So we've
right, so we've been watching
YouTube.
clips.
It's so good, and
So good.
That's you think, oh shit! That if I was going to do that, that's exactly how I do it.
And I would wish it would be that good.
Yes, yeah. That's like. There's other shows where you're like, well, good for her. I'm glad she got a show. But you're like, and then you're like, oh, that's it, Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you were talking about her no desk.
That's another thing. What I've seen is when she does her, she'll, like most of the guys will sit behind a desk and have graphics over the shoulder, joke graphic.
Yep.
But they're kind of doing the news anchor thing. And Sam is standing in full frame in front of camera, head to toe. You're looking at a woman who is talking, and she's very physical and she's moving around.
Yep.
And she is demanding that you look at her entire body.
Yep.
But she's not sexualizing herself.
No.
She looks fucking great.
She looks great, but she's like, this is a giant screen. We're going to go to this. I'm going to Syria to talk to the actual refugees, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. And she's just standing there, and it might be a 3/4 shot.
Yeah.
But it's a long shot cut with a 3/4 shot. It isn't just her head.
Yeah.
And it's so. It's. I mean, it looks great, but more than that, I think 10 years on the Daily Show. Holy crap!
Yeah.
That's invaluable.
I think her standing makes it a little like, Tina Fey and Amy Poehler on Weekend Update. They're like doing they're part of a tradition of fake news anchor, and it's so they're not hiding behind the desk, but are hiding in a role in a way.
Yeah, they're in a diorama.
And Sam, exactly. Sam B's just sort of standing there right the fuck in front of you.
In your face.
Yeah. And
with opinions and with jokes and with attitude.
And not softening any sort of feminism. I mean, how many...
Did you see the first fan phone call? Did you hear that?
Oh, yeah. That was great. Yeah. But I mean, like, when I did Last Comic Standing, the second time I did a set, I opened with an abortion joke.
Sweet.
Okay. And then I did some, like, softer jokes because I thought, okay... I was trying to be strategic. So I'm like, I'm going to lose half of America, but maybe I'll do a few softer ones, maybe grab a few of them back because we're trying to get votes, right?
Right.
So I very specifically picked hard, like a hard joke I would feel comfortable doing and I'm proud of, and then a little softer to go, I'm not an abortionist. I'm a mother. But of course, that was the one we were talking about when I got slammed on the night before Bob and Tom.
Oh, right.
They edited out the abortion joke.
They totally edited out the abortion joke.
So I'm opening with the softer stuff, and I'm like, no, the whole point of that kind of bee furry joke was I had
you said things
an
out
egg
loud
joke with sharp angles in front of it, and they're a
purpose.
pair. Yeah. So anyway.
Turns out,
but so it's not like Sam B's the first person to be thinking that way, but she's the first person to be to do it and to be allowed to do it.
And we get to watch it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, Amy Schumer's doing it in a different way in,
Yes.
in sketches, you know?
Yes.
And Sam B.
Oh, and those sketches are amazing.
Brilliant. It's the point of view, like, where you're like, fucking finally.
Yeah, it feels
you
like
know?
finally somebody's just talking about
TV's
normal.
catching up to us.
Yeah.
You know?
It's
and
awesome.
so it's like more. Like more. And let's
Yeah, no end to it. I'm just like,
there's a million female comics behind a wall ready to kick it down and go, that's not all of it. You know, it's
Right.
not just Sam B and Amy and Nikki Glazer. Nikki Glazer has a really great show. And
Yes, which I haven't got to see Nikki Glazer's yet.
the pilot is so funny. She's really good. But it's like
She was my roommate in Last Comic Standing.
Oh, really?
The first time I did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was like 12, 13,
Yeah.
and I was
Yeah.
100. And she was adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they all have their great shows. Let's do more.
Yeah.
Let's get more women of color. Let's get more women of age. Let's get more women who have other points of view.
Yep.
Because we're all, I don't know. I feel like the next couple of years we, not you and I specifically, but we can't be denied. Like this audience just keeps growing and. It's not like it's growing. It's like we're fucking hungry. Like we're like baby birds. Like please feed us something. Give me something I can genuinely go feel a joke go through my whole body and go, yes, this one's so true.
Yep.
And so real. And finally, someone's fucking allowing it on TBS, which is based out of Atlanta.
Right.
Like it comes
It's in
from a
the South.
conservative place. You
Yeah.
know, it's hard to get shit like that on TBS. And I mean, I work
It's
on a
so
show
great.
that's on TBS.
Yeah.
And
The Conan O'Brien show.
So she's doing it, and
Yeah.
it's really exciting to me.
Yeah, and a great example of that is our comic of the plug of the week.
Oh,
woman
yes.
comic, Amy Miller.
Amy Miller,
Who you mentioned, and then I had to look her up and go, oh my God, she opened for me and Maria
This is
in
how
Portland.
dense we are.
This
yeah,
is- yeah, and I was
go,
like,
Amy
oh my-
Miller, and you're
I
like,
love
Amy
it.
Miller.
I know that name.
You've got to know her.
Right, you got to know
And
her.
then
And
you
then
just worked with her for
I
a whole
just-
week.
For a whole 4 shows. 4 shows, I got to hear her stuff, and it's so smart, and it's
Very
so
funny.
personal and
Yes.
good. She's a great comic.
She's originally from Oakland, and she's a Portland-based comic now.
Yeah, Portland,
And
Oregon.
she's also like Jen Kirkman, a troll fighter on.
Oh right,
Twitter.
she will. Yeah,
she'll get in
She'll
it.
call him as she sees
Yeah,
him.
I love
and
to-
she
I
is
love
the
to
most
watch it.
adorable. Like she looks very sweet.
Yeah.
And then she's like, no, but we will be addressing the big issues.
Yeah.
If you bring them up in my face on my Twitter feed, weirdos. And she did. She does she's a great. So go to find Amy Miller comedy.
Yeah.
Out of Portland. I think she's moving here to Los Angeles.
Oh, good.
Pretty sure. And that's great. Oh, and then 2 weeks ago, I worked with Tom Clark, and
Mm-hmm.
we were driving out to Upland, and we were talking about the podcast that doesn't exist. And I was telling you about this.
Brilliant.
We would love. How great would it be if wait staff at comedy clubs, just any improv, any funny bone, Zanies in Chicago, if any of you guys are listening, please, once you no longer need that money.
Once you're out of the comedy club business.
Yes. Once you please have a podcast where it's just waitresses and wait staff.
Yeah, not a club owner.
Not a club owner.
Yeah.
Club owner is, no offense, gentlemen. And I say gentlemen. Not entirely. There's
and
Heather.
2 women, one of whom doesn't book me. In Denver. Okay.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Me neither. Anyway, feel free, Wendy. Get on it. We would like to work your great comedy club. Kathleen Madigan will vouch for us, for we are very funny.
that didn't help me.
No, that didn't help me either.
No.
Remember that?
Yep.
Anyway,
Okay.
so, but I think that but how great they would name names. It would be just one.
Yeah.
I remember just sitting around because how many times have you just sat around with the staff after
Yeah.
the show, and they're just like, you know who's just here, and then they tell you some goddamn nightmare
Herpes incarnate.
on
The
a
entire
stick.
staff
That's
is
a dick joke, you
infected.
guys. Herpes on a stick. That would be a.
Got it.
And then there's comedy gossip, which is Perez Hilton.
Yeah.
I don't know if you read Perez Hilton. I don't. But
I
somebody
don't call
posted
it reading. I call it skimming.
Skimming?
Yeah.
That's the way to go.
Okay.
Perez Hilton had an article about the best bars in America show on Esquire, which was Sean Patton and Jay Larson.
Oh, it's a talking head show.
It was, well, they would go get drunk at different
Oh, no, it's
towns.
not. Okay, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, they would just essentially they would be like, "Hey, we're in St. Louis and we're gonna go eat chicken wings and drink a lot of beer and get drunk." Insomniac-ish, and we get to watch these two comics get drunk.
Yeah,
and then they just shoot the breeze with the locals.
Okay,
and that was the entire show. We've seen it. I don't mean to sigh at the television, but holy crap, we've seen it. But I would do it. I mean, I wouldn't do it because I don't drink, but I mean, I would do other things. I would do other weird Food Network versions of that. But this was an Esquire version, and I guess
it's a very simple premise.
Very simple premise.
And those are two very entertaining comics.
And those guys are great comics. Yeah. And I guess they quit the show because it became known, and they were talking about it on a podcast, and so it came out. So I'm not talking out of school here. It says Sean Patton and Jay Larson were talking about how they were asked to do things with women. They were supposed to sort of leer more and sort of just talk, just sort of get a little grosser. And they weren't then
live up to the Esquire name.
Yeah, and Sean Patton was like, it's not like we weren't getting drunk enough. We were getting drunk enough, but we weren't making bad life decisions.
You weren't turning into rapists.
Right, they were not turning into rapists. And Sean Patton, I guess, actually said to the Esquire producers, he said, you should have hired 21-year-old guys. I'm in my 30s. This isn't going to happen. Yeah. And Jay Larson was like, I have a wife and kids. I can't hit on other women on television.
Oh, my God.
That she would be disappointed in me. So that's the comedy gossip.
So they quit?
So they quit.
That's cool.
It's kind of amazing.
I just saw Sean Patton when I was in New York. Very funny. Ugh. I like his girlfriend a lot, too. She's a musician.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
I think I've met her. I can't remember. I have a hard time remembering.
You can't remember because you just worked with Amy Miller and you couldn't remember.
I know it. And I was about to say, I only remember you if you do stand-up, but it's clearly not true. I can remember Amy Miller's jokes,
I only
which is always a good sign.
If you owe me child support.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so what about this? I did a show, a themed stand-up show.
Yeah.
And, you know, to some extent, I just want to do stand-up.
I had a conversation with Ryan Stout about this just last night.
Just last night?
He kind of brought it up. We're just like, all this extra homework, it's getting aggravating.
Weirdly enough, I did Ryan Stout's podcast, which was chock full of homework.
It is. He sent me he asked me to do it, and he sent me I'm like, what the fuck are you
pre-production thing? I have to find 8 different clips of different
them.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't own 8 people's albums. So what I did was I would pick a
comedy, right?
Yeah. So what I would do is I would pick a comic, and then I would YouTube Google them.
Yeah.
And so I like last comic from last episode, Tracy Ashley. I found one of her bits.
Yeah.
And then I had to find. Essentially, it wasn't the bit I wanted to talk about. I just had to find the comic, listen to the clip, her Conan set or her own set. I think it was an own set.
Yeah.
And then I had to give him time code and a link.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Of
8
the
times.
Joke. 8 times, 8 different comics. So I picked Tracy Ashley.
He needs a PA.
Did I pick Tracy Ashley? I picked Tracy Ashley, Aaron Foley, Aaron Jackson, Chad Daniels, Dana Gould, a set from 1991 from the Dennis Miller Show.
Whoa.
Such a great, it was that bit about the answering machine. Remember that bit about the answering machine? I'm not going to replay it.
Okay.
I'm going to erase it right now. And then Zabruder. Anyway, so.
I do.
He does the rewind noise.
Yeah.
So great. And so I picked them all, and then we sat there, and he picked 8. And then it records live on Dash.com from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know why I've weeded off into the longest Ryan Stout story ever. But it was really fun.
Yeah.
It was genuinely fun because
But it's like on a Wednesday.
Yeah. It's also on a Wednesday, and but you do get to noodle into an actual bit. I picked Jared Logan.
That sounds fun.
It was really fun. You know when it'd be really fun? Saturday afternoon.
Yeah,
it'd be really great from like noon to 2.
Yes,
that'd be fantastic, Ryan. I don't know when that's going to happen, but he did offer to pre-record.
Yeah,
but I felt like a jerk to say, well, why?
I'm so done with worrying about feeling like a jerk. No, I'm actually
point.
not. You know what? I just did a web series.
See? Didn't you just do something where you thought it was
I
going to be
did.
one thing and it ended up being much more
here's
work?
The thing, I fucking didn't read the email.
That's
and then
it.
I
Classic.
she
Classic.
also gave me an explanatory text that I mixed the words up so it was favorable to what I was hoping, which is she said maybe Sunday maybe at 7 a.m. and I read maybe Sunday. At
Period.
7 a.m.
Oh my gosh! And then it
we
ended
were
up
fucking
being
on at Sunday. We did something in the afternoon, and then we were on.
You played a
Sunday.
firefighter.
I did.
That's
gay
awesome.
Firefighter. Yes.
a gay firefighter.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Did you get did you get to wear the cool costume?
I wore just regular firefighter. No, just
Not
like,
the yellow.
No, just blue. Standard
All right.
issue.
Fair enough.
But yeah,
I don't know why I'm disappointed.
It'll be. I think it's called Baked Goods. It'll be a
web series and it'll be fun.
The cool thing was that it was not self-consciously, but it just was an all-female crew.
Oh, there you go.
The writer and director, same
was just-
person, Anna, and then everyone else behind the camera is doing.
Do you know
Boom
why?
and all
Because
that.
people happen to know people, and so
Yeah.
guys happen to know a bunch of dudes who do stuff, and women
Yeah.
happen to know a bunch of women who do stuff.
It went great. It went.
Yep.
Everything was started on time.
Nobody had
finished
their
on
period
time.
and lost their minds. Is that what you're telling me? Nobody had to run out and get a tax-free tampon.
I've got no one to cycle with anymore. I'm on a lonely planet, man. So yeah. So
themed-
that's another
themed
thing where I'm
comedy.
like, oh my god, and I lost 3 hours of sleep worrying that I wasn't going to get enough sleep.
Right.
So, but it ended up being really fun. I complain mightily about things that usually end up being pretty fun.
Well, yeah, because they're different kind of opportunities. So half the complaining is being nervous about what the hell it's going to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what it is. So I'm like, and then it's at 7.
Yeah.
So, but I want to do the new thing
Yeah.
with the power of this. I
Yeah.
genuinely want to do the new thing.
Yeah.
So, but what were you talking about, Ryan? About the theme show?
Just like how you just love stand up. Like, I just want to work on this new joke.
Right, I got a
fill
new
out
joke.
the rest of the time with shit it's not too embarrassing to me to do.
Right, and and I like it when there's I mean, it took a while for me to like set list. No, just once, quite honestly, because I love the idea of being given a list of things to talk about.
I do like set lists.
I love set list
Yeah.
where they give you
It's Troy Conrad's thing.
yeah, and you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
the next suggestion is coming.
You just-
prompter. Different.
Yeah.
It doesn't have me writing stand up. It has me writing more essay kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not as it was fun. It was all
Yeah.
fun. But set list, prompter, I did one called Joke Thieves, which is Matt Kirshen's,
Yeah.
where I do a 5-minute set and then another comic does a 5-minute set and then we swap. I do their 5 minutes and they do my 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is the greatest writing thing in the world. That have you ever done this?
No.
Where if I did one of your bits at
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
you would hear things pop.
Yeah, different intonation.
So I was telling Bamford about it, and she was like, "Oh my god, can we play that game?" And I was like, "Yeah, I would love to play that game with someone who just wants to play that game." Because Matt Kirshen's game, it's in an earlier iteration.
Yeah.
So essentially, he was like, "You can make it hard for the other comic by doing a lot of characters or singing or making it super physical and having to." And I was like, "Well, that's kind of funny." And he said, "You can also make it mean." And I was like, "Well, I don't want to make it mean. I just want to do stand up and then hear somebody else do my stand up and then maybe get a new line out of it."
Yeah.
And or give them a new line. So I was paired up with Al Lubell. And it was and Al Lubell, who I've known for 20 years.
Yeah.
And he is super interesting. Like
Yeah.
But what he chooses to do when he does a short set is
very
usually
writerly, very, very writerly.
it's super writerly.
Yeah.
So what he does is he tends to open with, and we were only doing 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So he did 5 minutes about his name, Al Lubell. And he talked about how he likes his name, and that's his name, and he talks
Yeah.
about Al Lubell. And then he did 2 jokes where all the protagonists were named Alu Bell. And it's really funny. It was really...
I know, it's so ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. So what the thing is if I don't know what it would be like to watch Al do an hour, quite honestly, but I'll tell you what it's like watching him do 5 minutes where you're like, well, that's hilarious. It's not funny anymore. Oh, it's funny again.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's not funny. And then
yeah.
It's it's like that. So
yeah, he'll sit through that silence of like I bail instantly. I can't go through that because to get to the funny again, sometimes you have to go through a lot of not funny and an angry audience, and I don't have the stomach for it.
I don't either.
I appreciate people that do though.
Right. So I got up and I knew that I was going to either have to sit through it or just. And so I guess I made fun of him, and so he got mad at me because he eviscerated me a little bit. But so I got up and I said, "My name is Alu Bell," and then I walked off stage. And then I got back on stage because it was too short and not long enough for the show. And then I told a joke where everyone's name was Alu Bell. And so
Alu Bell and an Alu Bell and an Alu Bell.
It was
an Alu Bell.
I don't know if you know Alu Bell Mozart, but Alu Bell Mozart used to have a lot of chickens, and each one was named Alu Bell, and there were many, many chickens named Alu Bell. And somebody came to visit once, Alu Bell, and Alu Bell came to visit, and Alu Bell asked the Alu Bell chickens, "Who's your favorite composer?" And the Alu Bell chicken said, "Alu Bell Bach."
Oh my God.
It was the only joke I could remember. Feel free to send me hate mail
never say
about
it again.
that joke again. Jackie at JackieGation.com. But so he gets up, and I was working on my new weird sex joke, and I was working on this other, and I opened with this Asperger's autism line. And so he said, JackieGation, my name is JackieGation, and then he did a joke about my name for a minute and a half, and it was great, or whatever. And then he said, and I have Asperger's, and I'm very cold and unfeeling and unfuckable. And I was like, holy shit, stop hitting me.
Is that what you say?
Is that what? I don't think that's how the.
I don't think
that's how the joke goes. But so it was funny. And it was really funny.
Yeah.
And he was, and the
sure.
tantric sex joke has a bunch of counting in it.
Yeah.
And so I did think it was interesting to find out if someone with Asperger's did tantric sex, they would do a lot of counting. So it did make sense. And so I said that to him afterwards, and I thought it was funny, but I was also like, oh man, he beat me up pretty hard. And I'm like, I would like that game. Like if we're I love the idea. That's very set listy because it feels like I could learn a lot about my stand-up from some themed. Picture this. Have you ever done Picture This?
No.
That's the one where somebody animates the joke while they draw.
Yeah.
That could be really educational. Yeah. I like it when the theme has an educational bent to it, Laurie Kilmartin. Sure.
I like it when I can get on and get off and go home.
And do 4 sets in a knife. Theme? That's one of your themes, is when you get to do.
Go to another room.
It's true.
Yeah.
Do you have, didn't you have another article you wanted to tell me about?
No, I kind of merged them into
one. Did you?
With
I
Nell
like
Scoville.
What about Casey
St.
Ange?
Oh, yeah. Casey St. Ange. Okay. So I forwarded this to you, and she wrote this really cool article that got picked. She wrote it on Medium. She got picked up by
Medium.
Fox and got a lot of play. And it was
I like Medium.com, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I read 3 articles by Medium, and I never read articles.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool.
I like Medium. The premise was, she was sick of trying to lose weight, and while she loves Oprah,
yes,
and Oprah,
and she has been to Weight Watchers,
Oprah's losing weight again on Weight Watchers because Oprah owns Weight Watchers. She was just saying, you know what, if kind of like the premise that got batted around a lot,
and it got batted around by that's right,
yeah. Amy Schumer had a kind of a bit similar, like on a sketch show, and Kathleen Madigan had a joke about if
a stand-up
Oprah,
bit, and it had Oprah in it as well.
It's not Amy at all, actually.
Oh, was it Wendy? No,
I forget. Okay,
Tammy.
No.
It was 1,000 women talking about weight loss. Shocking. Anyway,
it was.
But there were comparable premises.
If Oprah can't lose the weight and she's as wealthy as she is, then maybe it can't be lost.
Can't be done. And that's what Casey's article was about. And it was very funny and very insightful.
Yes, and poignant, too.
And poignant.
Just I don't want to be fucking fighting this battle my whole life.
Right. And I do love her. My favorite line in that was that whole thing where she said, I'm not going to tell people that they look nice face anymore. I'm going to tell them that I'm happy to see them.
I love that.
That was
I
so
fucking
great.
hate that shit of you look great. I did it. It's just like when I was in New York and I saw all my friends, I'm like, I'm so glad you're here and alive and still doing stand up. I didn't care if you gained weight or lost weight or
No, because I want to
older
talk
or
to
what.
you. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because I like you as a person.
Yes.
Let's have a conversation
Yeah.
and possibly get a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
I want to get a cup of coffee with the whole world, you guys.
But I said
kinda
that
want
to
a cup of
you
coffee.
and
Yeah.
but then you were like,
then I read
that
it.
you got
'Cause
I
it's
felt
the
like
same-
I depressed you.
Well, it was a little depressing just because everyone is. Because then I thought about it because Oprah is doing Weight Watchers. So Oprah and Weight Watchers are now in the world.
Yeah.
So everyone's writing. Men are writing jokes about it.
Right.
So it's not just me.
Yeah.
And so I too have a joke about Oprah, and that is the premise: is that if Oprah can't do it, why do it? And then, but where my joke goes. I think it goes somewhere else.
It does
at the
totally,
end.
and I just saw it again. You know.
Oh, that's
we were
right.
at
We
the
were
Improv
both did the
Lab,
Improv the
and
other night.
Your bit is like so you. It's so steeped in Cation juice that I said I could read Casey's thing right
Yes.
before I saw you on stage and not think that they're crossing at all.
At all.
And you're not stepping. And she's not stepping on you.
Yeah, and I thought her point was different and great.
Yeah.
She had a great point as well, and it was just good. And Karen Kilgariff the other day, just at coffee, we're sitting around, and I guess Oprah has lost 26 pounds on Weight Watchers.
Yay!
And so the stock went through the roof.
Yeah.
And there was this pause, and Kilgariff goes, "Don't forget to sell." Sell now, because she's not going to keep it off, and it's just because
Yeah.
she's. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know what her thing is,
Yeah.
but if she's got people poking her into working out, and she's got people wrestling her the food out of her hand,
She can do it for limited amounts of time.
everyone can do it for a limited amount
You know
of
what?
time.
We all
and
need our
eventually,
comfort.
And eventually, when do we get to fucking give up
Yeah, here's like
and just go? I'm going to be 70. Is
You're
that
just-
okay?
you're this
Do I
size.
get to
That's
be
it.
70?
I'm this size. Like I when I look back, sometimes I feel like, oh, I wasn't given the same opportunities as other people, and I get mad. And then I think, how many times did I stop myself because I felt like, oh, I'm not thin enough. I'm not going to move to LA yet. I'm not thin enough. And it was always, I'm not thin enough.
Wow.
And I stop myself all the time, And there's probably female comics now listening that might be like, doing that same thing.
Yeah,
and
don't do
I have
that.
from your and I point of view, you're the size you are now, you're probably going to be in 30 years. So fuck it.
Right. And
Just
that
do
is
what you want to do.
Right. That has been the point. That's the new point I found
Yes.
in the act, is that I have kind of looked just like this since I
Me
was
too.
16.
Me too.
There you go.
A little extra from
Yeah.
middle age and a baby, but basically the same shit.
Right. Give or take 15 pounds.
Yes.
And on a good year. And it isn't a good year because it's the same damn year. So,
Yeah.
and yeah, I think the only reason I didn't move to LA is I kept thinking, am I ready? Am I ready? And then finally someone just said, you're never going to be whatever ready is. Just go and run it up the flagpole. And because sometimes I look back and go, if I would have moved here in 90,
Right.
maybe I could have got something. But
Yeah.
in 90, my stand up wasn't anything like
Right,
it is
right,
now.
right.
So, I really love living here. I really do. And I love doing stand up here, and I love doing stand up on the road. And I love how I've grown since 1990.
Yeah.
That my stand up, I'm so proud of the stand up that I do now versus.
Versus.
Yeah, and it's
Except when I do that stand up.
except for when you're like,
When I need time, let me go
oh my
into
God,
the
I
vault.
was running. I was running that 5 minutes.
Stretch. Okay, hold on. Let me.
Hey, JP, are you listening? Because I ran that 5. It's super tight now.
good.
Anyway, and it's perfectly fine to 5, but I was listening to it on the drive home because I got an iPhone 4, guys, and it can work with a Bluetooth on my 2013 Corolla. And so I could just listen to those sets. Sweet, sweet listening. And I was just like, oh, you're doing you might want to put a little more oomph into it. You've done the set enough.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Maybe you're on autopilot.
I was a
bit
little
to
on
tell yourself.
autopilot, and I was like, wrap it up, kid.
Well, all I noticed is that I, come home with all my stuff from my dad's house, a
Yeah.
couple weeks ago, and I have, a ton of joke books,
Notebooks.
and I have a ton of Artist Way books, or just diaries or whatever.
Oh, right.
Journaling.
Oh, right.
Journaling is the same fucking shit from 25 years ago. Of I wish I was thinner.
Yeah.
Same fucking shit, line for line.
That's your morning
And I'm
pages
just like-
25 years later?
I'm
I
just
wish
like,
I were thinner.
God damn. Yeah, it's just it's.
So screw it.
It doesn't change. If
Yeah.
I could just go back in time and take that part of my brain that wants it,
Yeah.
not the part that's eating, the
Yeah.
part that wants to be thinner, and just take it out. because I'm gonna clearly I'm just gonna eat the same no matter what.
Yep.
Or else I would have done it. You know. Mm-hmm. So. I don't know.
Indeed. That's a great lesson. That's a perfectly good lesson.
Learn from my
and from Casey.
mistake.
And from Casey saying it out loud, which is awesome.
Yep.
We all just got to say stuff out loud.
Yeah. Cool.
It's a good one.
All right. Check out Amy Miller.
Oh, yeah. Amy Miller Comedy.
Yeah.
Portland. Seattle. Do
All right.
it.
I'm Laurie Kilmartin.
I'm Jackie Cation.
Bye.
Now leaving Nerdist.com.